Right, greetings everybody. Happy day to you. Hopefully you are doing well and taking care of yourself. Let's get right into talking about why we're making this video. So the video today is not a news video because, well, what we have gotten announced is basically what we kind of expected to be announced. So Riku is coming to the game, Riku is coming with the PC, and there are a bunch of banners for this, and the banners are pretty just exactly what we thought we were going to be getting. If we scroll down close to the end, I will just show this off. This is the one special anniversary banner, which is just 200 yard generic orbs, which I guess if you want that, sure, there you go. Other than that, I think it's pretty underwhelming, and yeah, it's pretty underwhelming. So that's it, basically. There isn't anything in here that I found to really be all that noteworthy. It's stuff that we've essentially talked about before. So today, instead, we will take a look at something new that has happened for the Game 8 website for War of Visions. Has updated their strongest party ranking. They've also updated their strongest vision card rankings and their strongest character rankings. We'll take a quick look at that, but for the most part, the thing I want to talk about today is party formations, to show what is new and upcoming, and also talk about maybe some variations in there as well. Because Riku will probably change things. It's a big evasion boost, so I expect there to be more evadey teams going around, and that will push people back to whatever is accurate if it becomes too popular. And I think that I can't imagine that evasion's going to go that far in being that annoying. I think it would be bad from a player perspective, but let's take a look. So first off, just taking a look at Yuna and Pain, both according to this website. At this point, I've pretty much abandoned Ultima as well. Ultima has become an absolute incessant it's a page with endless advertisements that auto load pages, so I'm done with Ultima. I could care less about what they have to say at this point in time because their website is trash. I am still using Game 8. Game 8 is pretty nice in terms of their validation and reasoning behind most of their parties. They also do more than Ultima, so Ultima at this point is dead to me. Just, I guess that's another topic of this video. But here, looking at characters, I don't have any real problems here, except maybe for that translation. We just show the Japanese version here, just to get around that, because that's a very bad translation. I believe there's also a horrible translation for Sadali, but one thing at a time. Looking at this, yeah, I kind of agree with this in terms of the character related stuff, and in terms of vision card, like for people who are curious, this is what is generally agreed as the best vision cards. I tend to make a few more exceptions here, but it really is based on what characters you have and what party you're trying to make right now. And Grand Arena would be, to me, an entirely different tier ranking for vision cards like this, because when you have 5 party members, boy oh boy does Elemental just shine way harder than Job. Job is really strong in 3. Element seems to be really strong in 5. Of course, Grand Arena will have circulating rules, so that could potentially change. And hey, there's Giant Cactar, which I believe is coming out on global right away. So if you're wondering where that is on the JP side, pretty good, but it is a permanent VC, so don't feel like you need to get it or anything like that. Again, some of the VCs that I like a little bit more, like Hiryu, I find that personally I use this VC a lot. The Chibi Boys, that one I see quite a bunch of good comps. I don't feel like I see the Wind Gundam Bird, Saku Bird, I should say, as much as some other stuff. But the rulings for why these VCs are top is essentially, you know, listed on here, and you can do the quick translation if you want. But a lot of the limited time VCs are the ones that top the chart a lot of the time, and it depends on which, you know, thing you're trying to talk about. There's also the attribute ranking and just general purpose. So yeah, that's that. I think that's okay. Now let's take a look at the basically what we were titling in the video, which is the strongest teams, which tier 1 have been updated, tier 2 have been updated, tier 3 have been updated. So looking at tier 3, Mono Ice, and it's nice to see Ice Veritas in there too. I think that Ice Veritas is still a really, really cool unit. And even though he's not my favorite design character, I am happy to see him in there. And if you want to see just how much, I mean, like 2 months ago, this would have been one of the strongest teams in the game. AC Sephiroth has fallen off as better accuracy has shown up in people's kits. And this team just doesn't have a ton of synergy. So as more and more job VCs that are coming out, it's kind of changing which teams can be the most powerful. So yeah, tier 3 there seems pretty reasonable, but some mono elements still hanging in there. Looking at tier 2, we do have Mono Thunder featuring Orlando. Still nice to see that both Agrias and Orlando have gotten up as far as tier 2, and even Ramza as well in tier 2. That's pretty remarkable for such incredible old units that they have gotten there. Really quickly, just touching on some things, we're looking at Mono Fire, we're looking at Light and Dark, Mono Thunder, and Ice and Water. This seems to be the general way of things. Exia is just really powerful, and Gilgamesh is still really powerful, and Agrias kind of protects them quite nicely and gives them a lot of long-lasting power. Luciel is just a really, really great support unit, especially for people who don't have swimsuit Resnick. I'm not going to say the other word. I think that that's handled quite well. And, you know, Ramada, it's good to see that she has also gotten in there, because it feels like maybe at least for quite the beginning, Ramada wasn't as popular, but it's nice to see her make it cracking tier 2. Ramza, just great support into 2 already great units, and Fire is just doing fiery things, but I don't think that that's particularly all that exciting right now. Alright, tier 1, here we go. Here are the absolute best teams so far. So we have Sadali, Exia, and Luciel. We have AC Sephiroth, Swimsuit Resnick, and Shrek. And last but not least, newly featured, we have X2 Yuna with Luciel and AC Cloud. And I want to just take a peek at these team comps, make a few potential suggestions, because again, I've said this a lot lately of just play the game for fun, don't worry so much, and don't try and be meta, because you can't unless you've gotten like all the VCs and, you know, eventually the new commanders. You're just going to fall out. So there is that higher league of players, and just leave them be. Let them fund the game. The rest of us can just, you know, interact and challenge each other. So taking a look here, Yuna is, to me, one of the most important parts of this combination of stuff that we are looking at. And I say that stuff in a general sense, but I do think that Yuna, with her long range capability, you know, she buffs whoever your greatsword user is. The greatsword user, potentially with a lot of survivability, especially with the combination with Luciel, can just go in, start attacking characters, and Yuna hits from far away. I think that that is a really, really good combination. I can't say that replacing Yuna in this comp is particularly that good, though, since you are kind of wanting her to hit from far away. In terms of vision cards, there isn't anything that really is too bad. 10-2 VC in there is being quite nice. I'm pretty happy to see that there, because it is a newer VC, so a lot of people can get it at the same time they're getting X2 Yuna. But that might be a little bit important for that. Talking about The AC Cloud VC, though. This VC providing attack, critical evasion, single target resistance. It really is doing a lot for your greatsword user. So you're either going to want to replace this with a greatsword VC, or potentially, more importantly, I think you're going to want to just stack more human killer, as much human killer as you can potentially get. You already have a hollow VC here in the back providing human killer, but if you can, as much human killer as you can stack, the more you can up Eunice damage, the better, the happier you're going to be. That's the big thing. So yeah, I really do think that that's completely replaceable, but for what you're putting in there, it's kind of up to you if you want to go more offensive or defensive. It's definitely a mix card there, but since it's not obtainable, you're going to have to pick and choose, and I kind of like the human killer potentially just more. Talking about YRP, our newest VC, it's an 18% agility card, so it's really tough. I mean, essentially you need to replace it with a speed card, if anything, but I don't think that is super possible. I will say that I think that AC Cloud could be replaced with someone like Spring June. You kind of want a fairly defensively strong character like this, and potentially with the light and dark element. The alternative that I'm really considering for this that's probably still pretty good is Pain. Pain is pretty damn damage resistant and can last quite well. I doubt that she could outperform Cloud, but I can see a lot of reasons why Cloud would be generally favorable if you have him. But taking a look, taking a look at Yuna, we'll just read some of the comments here. Follow-up attack across the map. She has excellent movement and speed. Her flash arrow can increase speed by pushing her firepower. She has winning strategy formations. Their durability is not so good and tends to be battle of either defeat or being defeated. In that case, it is recommended to use Rusio Obis as a supporter to help withstand some of the DPS that you will be taking. And in terms of just equipment, really nothing here that is brutal. So that's pretty good. I think that team is just generally good. All right. Swimsuit Resnick. Apparently here it translates properly. This one, I think is just really standard. We've seen this one for months now. Shreken is just still an incredibly powerful character. AC Sephiroth, she combines quite nicely. We do see that Holo Vision card of the Gundam bird, and unfortunately that limited time BC, which if you don't have at this point, you're kind of SOL. Maybe it's available on global longer. But boy oh boy, I mean, AC Sephiroth, I feel like I don't need to make replacement recommendations because he's essentially just like everybody got him, or most everybody got him. If you were just another fire DPS would be good that can potentially do some evadey stuff. That's basically the call of order here. Shreken, I like with the 3/120 choose banner. There's no reason why you can't pick her, so I see no reason. She's also just one of the top characters in the game still. So if you went through the level or the 3 choose 120s and you didn't choose Shrek, I don't know what to tell you. That was a mistake. Okay, moving on. So I mean, like, there'll be stronger characters, but for now she's just really good. Buffs the team, well-matched VCs. Greatest strength has slight evasion on it as well, and decent durability, which cannot be surpassed by Resnick's recovery with relatively low powered abilities alone. And however, its durability is largely dependent on barrier. It is weak against having its barriers destroyed. So that might be a potential replacement for Sephiroth, in that you would take a character with barrier sealing or barrier removal sealing abilities to potentially protect these characters. I still think there might be a better team out there than this, and we'll see how Evade affects this, because Riku might flat kind of find a way to shift this team for what is good in evasion. And arguably the best team in the game is Exia, Sadali, and Luciel. This combination, I mean, okay, just really quickly, I think that Kefka card is potentially one of the bigger problems here. We can see this very, very common VC that was, available for relatively cheap. And it's a common, it's not a limited time VC. That mana VC, you're pretty SOL on. So let's take a look at essentially the two big limiting factors. And I think I have to scroll a fair ways. Find it. Okay. So the mana VC / resistance, increased magic power, debuff, effect weakening. I mean, obviously that VC is really, really nice in giving yourself or the character AoE resistance penetration on quest maps could be really good. Giving an extra agility boost is really good for characters who need it. I think that this VC could be just replaced by another magic power-up. That's essentially what the main thing you're getting off of this. Flash resistance too, but I think that the DPS here is generally nicer than most of the other stuff. For the Kefka card, it is also magic attack, defense, and HP. All of those things are generally nice, but the magic attack is the biggest feature of that BC. So if you are looking to replace the two ones, you're kind of looking to get it. But noted, since they are both in the front position, that is... well, I mean, that essentially means that you're only running one of those for that, and you're probably running resistance for the other. So the 42 magic attack is higher, so that's what we're going with from that BC. Defense and HP, I feel like you could get from other locations, so focus on strength for that one. And as for the other one, debuff, effect weakening, / resistance, so that one probably a more defensive card, if at all possible, to shift in there. Taking a look at the comments, this formation employs two attackers, Sadali and Exia. They have many VCs that correspond to each other, so that's good news for replacing some of the limited time VCs. Increase CT after taking damage. They are excellent not only in terms of firepower, but also in the number of attacks. They have high curse resistance, so they work well with Ruthiel, and are good at taking the initiative to control the board. In addition, they have support abilities that reduce damage taken, horizontal buffs that increase resistance, and high abilities to continue fighting, recovering after attacks, and making them particularly powerful formation in guild battle defense. The formation is weak against the spell because of its firepower and durability are reinforced by buffs. Although you can counter it with Exia's heal the spell effect, it may not work effectively depending on the movement. So using it on the offensive, be careful of characters who can dispel the opponent's defensive, or dispel basically buffs. And that is potentially possible depending on what the other team set up. But there we have like three of the we looked at tier 3 generally. I think all of that's fine still for most players. Tier 2 is, I mean, this is, if you can aim at this, if you can complete any of these parties, you're generally pretty good. And with the select 3 characters, Ramada, Luciel, and Orlando is probably the very, very, very viable for anybody, whether they were starting the game yesterday or tomorrow, could do that and be pretty strong all in all, minus equipment and getting the necessary VCs. Tier 1 is and does have their own weaknesses in each of the team formations, but it's cool to see that Yuna has already worked her way into a tier 1. I think that there is probably a way to have that as maybe a tier 2 or tier 3 with Pain and be very competitively viable for where most players are in the game. Since whales have everything, whales can do whatever they want and really go nuts. But for the rest of us, I think there is a fair number of options with that choose 3/120 banner that has happened. So there you go. That is a look and commentary about all of what I think are just the strongest teams. And hopefully, I mean, if you have any comments that you want to throw in this comment section, go ahead. I'll see if anything's really catches my eye and respond to it. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. See you next time.